Is it rolling?
Wow.
It looks like it's
Yes,
rolling.
it is. Yep.
We're on. Hi, I'm Malcolm Mundy, and I am your host for the Santa Fe Astrology Meetup. It is Sunday, November 17th. The planet Jupiter is conjunct the galactic center. I just had my Jupiter return last Friday. I did not win the lottery. I won some money. But anyway, we're here to talk about the John F. Kennedy assassination. We're going to be looking at it from a variety of perspectives. We're going to be looking at it from your basic astrology chart, the basic event itself. We're going to be looking at a lot of secrets. Why was John F. Kennedy killed? And there's a lot of mystery behind why he was, but let's just say this. John F. Kennedy said he would splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter them to the winds. Other things he did
That
was...
right
there. Well, that's one. He also stopped printing Federal Reserve notes in summer of 1963 and replaced them with United States notes, which were backed by silver. And after the assassination, those notes disappeared and we went back to Federal Reserve notes. Okay? And by the way, if you can find any of those, let me know. They are collector's items. Other things that he did, he would not allow Israel to have nuclear weapons. And after he was killed, Lyndon Johnson allowed them to have nuclear weapons. And then, of course, he also, his charades with the mafia, of course, organized crime in the United States absolutely hated his guts, especially his brother, Robert Kennedy. So you're looking at somebody who, and of course the military, he withdrew 1,000 troops from Vietnam. On October 8th, he issued Memorandum Number 263, National Security Memorandum 263, which said, I'm going to withdraw 1,000 troops from Vietnam. And how many troops were there in Vietnam? 1,000. And of course, after he died, they didn't go anywhere. In fact, they've got increased in numbers. And of course, we know what happened from there. So we're talking about an individual who pissed off a lot of people, very powerful people. And so we're going to look at some aspects of this, but we're going to look at ceremonial magic. We're going to look at numerology. We're going to look at the events that happened. But first off, we're going to start, the very first chart is the JFK Assassination chart itself. Does anybody see anything that looks very interesting about this chart?
Yes, I see the sun at 29 Scorpio.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's 2 degrees from the galactic center.
No, it's not. The galactic center was about
27?
20, the galactic center was about 25 degrees Sagittarius
Oh, at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 27 now? Is that what it is?
It's 27 now.
Okay. And what about Antares conjunct Mercury?
Okay, and what's going on with Mercury?
Mercury,
We're in Uranus and
you have squaring Uranus and vertex.
There you go.
It's okay. It's also forming a T-square. The planet Mercury is forming a T-square with Chiron and with Uranus. What does Mercury represent on an event chart, you would think?
Travel,
Communication?
communication.
The media.
Oh, the
Yeah.
media, that's right, that's right.
Okay, and Mercury, with Mercury squaring the planet Uranus, what do you think that would indicate?
An emergency, some kind of an
An
interruption.
explosion, like an unexpected
Event.
Crisis, yeah.
communication or
Shocking news.
A crisis, yeah.
And it's forming this, and then we have Chiron involved with that too. So, and as I keep saying, Chiron is definitely, I'm not going to argue with the New Age people, Chiron is healing is a key aspect of Chiron, but as I said, there are bad sides in every aspect of the horoscope,
Yes.
every key point. And one of the bad aspects of Chiron is that it represents surveillance and the people who conduct surveillance. My favorite example still is Jeffrey Epstein, because the day he was murdered, he had Saturn, natal Saturn conjuncting his, transit Saturn conjuncting his natal Chiron. And the cameras were all off, you know? So, I mean, come on. There is an aspect of Chiron that says and it is very strong in the charts of people who work for the Central Intelligence Agency. I've seen this. So you probably have the people responsible for surveillance watching the media closely. Of course, one of the things we heard was three shots were heard. Whereas people who were there said, no, it was about 5 or 6. They said, no, you heard 3 shots. End of discussion.
Yeah, we know what you heard. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What about the fact that Libra is on the cusp of the 8th and Venus and Mars in the 10th are conjunct? Would that have anything to do with the sudden
Mars.
event, a sudden violent event?
Mars, yeah.
Well, we're going to look at Mars in a minute with the U.S. chart, because there's a very significant thing going on with Mars.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that confuses a lot of astrologers is, well, Mars and Venus are together and they get along, you know? So it's like, how can this be? Well, here's one for you. Let's look at some midpoints. Let's look at the midheaven. Is there a midpoint that is really close to the midheaven that you think is going to be very significant? Because the midheaven represents the reputation of the event. I'll give you a clue. This one is very strong.
Neptune, Venus, maybe?
Uranus.
How about Neptune, Mars?
Oh, Neptune, Mars.
Midpoint of Neptune, Mars is
Neptune,
about 3.
Mars.
It's about 3 degrees Sag, 12 minutes, and the
Yes.
midheaven is 3 degrees Sag, 44 minutes.
Wow.
And what is Neptune, Mars? What does that midpoint represent?
Deception.
Guns.
Deceptive actions
Yeah.
or deceptive activity. But let's look at some more. Let's look at 3 Sag. What do you? Let's. Here's the thing about 3 Sag that's so significant about it is the star that was the strongest part on it was a star called Yed-Posterior at 3 Sag 31, and here's what it defines. I'll read it out for you. Yed-Posterior, 3 Sagittarius, 31 minutes. Unfortunate, evil influence, the man of death, wasteful unseen dangers, poisoning.
Oh,
Spell that.
It is spelled Y-E-D and then posterior, P-O-S-T-E-R-I-O-R. That star is closest to the midheaven. Other stars nearby include,
Akrab?
right, the crown of the scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the jewel riches, materialism, power, honor, transitory malevolence,
Merciless,
merciless
fiendishness,
repulsiveness, malice, crime, and pestilence.
and theft. So we can see the midheaven definitely has a strong role in this. And
What do you think of the moon conjunct Saturn?
that would mean, well, Saturn usually represents the government. That's government control over the public, I think.
And in the 12th too, it's kind of behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
12th
Okay.
house, that's sinister. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to look at the next little packet you can see. We're going to look at the basic event affecting three horoscopes: John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, and the United States. Okay, first we're going to look at it affecting John F. Kennedy. Does anybody see anything significant?
Okay, let's see.
We're a fated event with Mars. Mars is guns.
Actually, Uranus is more guns. Mars is a sweeping term for weapons in general.
Okay.
How about Pluto conjunct the moon? For a drastic change, I mean, death.
Oh yeah.
the nodes are just in conjunction too.
Absolutely.
The node.
And is there anything interesting about the north node of that event conjuncting JFK south node? Is there anything interesting about this?
It's kind of like that's where he was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Fate.
That was his
well,
destiny.
what is so significant though about the placement of it?
Sirius
Ninth house.
is
Bullseye, the star of Sirius.
Oh.
In Freemasonry, the star of Sirius is the most important star, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So we have that. Is there anything else that looks very interesting?
I saw Mars doing a quincunx to his Mars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
close.
In the 8th house,
Uh-huh.
bullseye.
From the 3 to the 8. Yeah.
Uh-huh. JFK has Mars in his natal 8th house, which is the house of death. And you have Mars in the 3rd house, in his 3rd house. What is the 3rd house?
Short traveling, communication.
He was doing a little short drive in a car, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Mars,
Travel.
Actually, exactly.
And he was
squares
with
Venus.
his wife next to him.
Twin cusps
Yeah.
Venus.
Is married.
Right, Venus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the moon in Saturn, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the quincunx is between those two planets in the third, and Mars, Jupiter, and Venus in the eighth.
How about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in the 10th?
Well,
The
that's his
sun
name.
is doing
That's
a
his
trine
natal.
with Chiron.
Is it
on
doing
the
anything?
6th.
Well, here's one for you. Actually, we could look at this. Look at this. We have the sun forming a grand trine. Kennedy has his. He was born with a trine of Saturn in the 10th to Chiron in the 6th, and he has the transiting sun lining up and forming a grand trine with those three. What do you think that could mean?
That he would be remembered forever.
I would think it means Saturn and Chiron. I think that's government aspects involved in surveillance. And with the sun in Scorpio like that, I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Something interesting was about to happen.
The amazing thing is that you think, like, everything he was doing was positive, and it's like this dark force was almost destined to stop him from doing
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It would have changed history.
It would have changed
Look how-
history.
right.
Historic, yes.
Yeah.
And think of all the guys that died in Vietnam
Yes.
that wouldn't have died.
Yes.
That wouldn't
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well-
It changed people too.
Yes,
So
it did.
shattering. We never got our faith back.
Well,
in
Mikhail
being-
Gorbachev was
Yes.
working for the KGB, and he said that one story that he heard was that JFK sat down with Nikita Khrushchev and basically said, "To hell with the KGB, to hell with the CIA. Let's get rid of them. Let's explore the stars. Let's go to outer space and explore everything.
Yeah.
You have some things we want, and we have some things you want. We could do it together." And of course, then that's when people started jumping up and saying, "JFK is a communist."
Oh, God.
Oh, he was a peacemaker.
He was a peacemaker, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
What
upsetting because this shows that dark can
Well,
win
to
out
me,
over
well, to
light.
me,
Yes.
he was born with Uranus and Aquarius, and to me, that was classic.
Yes.
Uranus,
Yes.
let's all work together.
together.
Yeah.
And he had an Aquarius
Aquarian
ascendant.
leader.
And Saturn
I have Libra
is
ascendant.
quincunx in his,
Oh, that's
his
the
moon
assassination chart.
in this chart.
I'm sorry?
Saturn has a quincunx to his moon. Exact.
17,
The
yeah.
same degree.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's, and you know, it's coming from the 4th to the 11th. So that means
Yeah. And that's
Rhythm.
isolation.
yeah.
Isolation from the public in some way. Okay. So now let's go to Lyndon Johnson, the next one.
Wow.
Anything interesting going on with Lyndon? This one ought to be easy.
Speaking of dark.
Well, look at Uranus exactly conjunct the moon.
Well, how about, here's one for you. The vertex of
Yes.
of the event is exactly equal to the midpoint of Uranus-Pluto. What is Uranus-Pluto in terms of midpoints?
Midpoint.
Shocking transformation.
Transformation, Pluto, yeah.
And what is this midpoint, what is this vertex equal on Lyndon Johnson's chart?
It's on his natal Mercury.
Part of fortune.
Part of
Almost
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you got
Part of
Uranus and Pluto forming an exact midpoint, almost exact, to the vertex, the transiting vertex of the JFK assassination, and the transiting vertex of the JFK assassination is almost equal perfectly to his part of fortune. What is the part of fortune?
Fortune, luck.
Fortune.
Career. And was his luck and career about to change?
Yeah. For the
Yes.
better.
Shocking transformation in his career. Anyone see anything else that's interesting?
How about, what about Jupiter conjunct Saturn? Is that?
What is that? What do you think? What is Jupiter, Saturn? What does that midpoint usually indicate?
Well, his natal Saturn are his things that hold him back, and Jupiter means it would clear out
Yeah,
Whenever
but Jupiter
we
and
told her
Saturn don't get
about-
along.
No.
One is Santa Claus and one is Scrooge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
but if they work together.
But when they're
there's a
together,
control.
what does that mean?
it means Jupiter alleviates a lot of the Saturn blocks.
It's a hard choice.
Yeah.
J.H. Jacobs always told me Jupiter, Saturn, any kind of aspect or even a midpoint of it, it's a hard choice, a hard decision. And he was about to make a hard decision about someone getting killed, as defined by the 8th house. See how that works?
And it has to do with death too.
Anything else? Anybody see anything else going on that's interesting?
Let me see.
This one's pretty. This one's almost exact. Okay, how about the North Node conjuncting the star of Sirius almost in direct opposition with this natal Uranus? Near the vertex.
North Node conjunct Sirius.
The JFK Assassination North Node conjuncting the star of Sirius, almost in exact opposition of his natal Uranus.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Oh, okay. Oh,
It's
yeah. Oh, my
Uranus.
gosh,
Oh, wow. For shocking change.
It's
yeah.
in the 5th house. Was Lyndon Johnson a Freemason?
Yes.
Yep.
Almost all the presidents, except for Kennedy, because he was
And-
Catholic, they didn't let him. But I think almost all the presidents have been Masons. Yeah.
Okay. So so once again we have that Sirius connection there. The North Node has a lot to do with organizations and groups. So, and like I said, so there's something very significant going on here with this, relative to the star of Sirius.
And Sirius is ambition, so that goes back to Lyndon Johnson and his kind of sleazy ambition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Anybody see anything else?
Okay. We talked about the Uranus moon, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. How about Chiron? Saturn conjuncting Chiron.
Well, let's find that. Saturn.
Yeah.
Saturn.
JFK's.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That looks pretty strong. What do you think that is? Again, the 6th house.
by government?
The 6th house is your job skills, and as was the case with Jeffrey Epstein, he wanted all kinds of surveillance cut off.
Well, also Chiron